All right, so today we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Our learning objective is that we're going to be able to use the distributive property in order to simplify algebraic expressions. So I have a little activator that I want you to go ahead and start thinking about, because this is going to get us into the mindset of the distributive property before you even realize it. So imagine that you know, Halloween is coming up. Halloween is on Saturday. So imagine you want to bring enough candy to give all of the kids you're in beta club, soccer team, and you're on gymnastics. You want to give all the kids in your beta club, that soccer team, and that gymnastics squad 2 pieces of candy. So how would you figure out how much candy you have to buy, or you would need to give 2 of those to every single kid in all 3 of those activities? You're exactly right. Those thoughts are awesome. So I'm hearing a lot of, well, you need to know how many kids are in each of those groups and multiply by 2. So those are all great ideas. So let's get into the distributive property, and then we'll go ahead and work some more on this. We'll come back to it. So this is just a little picture. I think it's cute and I love it. So if you've already printed the guided notes on Schoology for today's lesson, you can just put this on the side if you like it and it helps. If not, you can just use the guided notes. So our distributive property baby. So we're going to distribute that b into the parentheses. So we have to multiply the b times the a and the b times the y. So when I distribute my b, I'm going to have my distributive b times a and b times y, or b times a plus the b times y, our distributive baby. I think it's cute. It might help you, it might not. But, so let's go ahead. Recall that the distributive property states that if I have a next to a parentheses of b and c, so that goes like to the candy in our example. So we said that we wanted to give 2 to every single group. Well, this is one group and this is the other group, and we'd add them all together. So we're going to distribute that factor. So we're going to have to say that a times b plus a times c is going to distribute. So we're taking this number on the outside, we're going to distribute it through the entire parentheses. So a times the first term, so ab, plus, because we have a plus sign, a times that second term, so a times c. Or you would do the same thing if you had subtraction. You're still distributing that a through the entire parentheses, so a times b, so ab, minus a times that second term. You have to multiply it by every single term within the parentheses, so a times c. And remember, those terms we talked about yesterday again, are separated by pluses and minus. So in this first case, we have those 2 terms separated by a plus, a times our b, and then our second term is a times our c. And here we have it separated by a minus sign. And again, a times b separated by minus, a times c. So both of those had 2 terms. We'd have more terms if we had more in our parentheses that were distributing that number on the outside. So let's do a couple examples together. I have 4 on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to distribute that 4. So I have to multiply it by my first term. So I have 4 times x. So real quick, this is a great segue to tell you, we have a lot of invisible math that we've already talked about that goes on without us knowing. So when we have a variable and it does not show us a coefficient, and we talked about that yesterday, a coefficient is that number attached to the variable, and we talked about it some then too. But if we have a variable and it does not show us a number in front of our variable, there is an assumed invisible 1 there. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put that 1 there to help you out so you can see it as we go through it. So I have 4 times 1x plus 9. And then we would go ahead and multiply that 4. And I'm going to erase it because I'm going to show you the steps and then give you the answer. So we have In our parentheses, we have 4 times 1x. And then we're going to have our plus. And then we have 4 times 9. So we've multiplied that 4 times that first term of 1x. And then our second term of 9. So 4 times the 1x plus 4 times the 9. And then you can go ahead and solve it. Well, we know 4 times 1 is going to be 4. Keep our x, because 4 times 1 is 4, and 4 times x, well, we don't know what x is, so we have to leave it 4 times x. We're going to bring down our plus, and then we have 4 times 9. Well, 4 times 9 is going to give me 36. And then we are done because I don't know what x is, and I don't have an equal sign. So that's as simplified as we're going to get at right now. And all of our terms are combined that we can combine. And we talked about that yesterday. I believe that we'll have some of those today. So let's go ahead and look at the second one. So again, I have 7 times the parentheses k minus 3. So again, we're going to multiply that 7 by our first term and by our second term. So I have 7 times, and again, when there's no number shown, 7 times 1k. We're going to, this time we have a minus, and then 7 times that second term, 7 times 3. We're going to go ahead and multiply that out. So we know 7 times 1 is 7, and we don't know what k is, so 7 times k we're going to leave alone. I'm going to bring down that minus sign, and then I have 7 times 3 is going to give me 21. Perfect. All right, so now we're going to continue on. So now I have negative 3 times n, and then we're going to multiply it by the negative 8 as well, or the minus 8. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to show you the steps for these last two, and then we'll skip the intermediate step. So I have negative 3 times n. We're going to bring down our minus, and then we have a negative 3 again, and it's negative 3, not just an extra long subtraction. Negative 3 times 8. So then we're going to go ahead and say again, there's an assumed 1 here in front of that n, so I have negative 3 times 1. So negative 3 times n, we still don't know what n is, so we're just going to leave it as 3 times n minus negative 3 times 8. So minus negative 24. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to simplify that to keep that, do our keep, change. So we're going to keep this negative, make this addition, and make this addition, and simplify that to negative 3 and plus 24. All right, let's go ahead and do one more where we do the steps, and then I'll do a couple more with you, and then I'll give you a chance to go ahead and pause it so that you can do some that I'll then go back through. All right, so I have negative 2, and I want to distribute it through this entire parentheses. So I have negative 2. I'm going to multiply it by the first term, and then I'm going to multiply it by my second term. So I have negative 2 times 5x. Bring down that minus. And then again, negative 2 times 2. So we have negative 2 times 5x is going to give us negative 10 times x, because we can't multiply it by x if we don't know what x is. Bring down our minus, and then negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. And then our last step, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to say that minus and negative can become keep, change, plus a positive. So we're left with negative 10x plus 4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. So if you were still writing or following along, you can pause this and continue filling this out. If you were still a little bit confused, I'm going to do some more. Otherwise, you can go back. It's a good chance to think about what we just learned. All right, so I'm going to do a couple of these. And then I'm going to let you go ahead and do a couple of these. So again, we know that we can rewrite this 7 times 1x plus 5. We know that we need to multiply that 7 times the 1x and add it to 7 times the 5 and close that parentheses. So we know 7 times 1 is 7 times x. We don't know what x is, so we're going to leave it as 7 times x. We're going to bring down that plus, and 7 times 5 is 35. All right, let's do 2 more, and then I'll let you go ahead and do a couple. So I have 5 times that first term, so 5. I'm going to just write it out, 1w minus 4, so 5 times 1w. Well, 5 times 1 is 5, and 5 times w, because we don't know what w is, so we have to leave it as 5 times w. And then bring down that minus. 5 times 4 is going to give us 20. All right, let's do one more, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and do 4, 5, and 6. So I have number 3, I have negative 5. Again, we're distributing it throughout the first term and the second term. So I have negative 5 times 1m. Remember, there's an assumed 1 there, minus 5. So we have negative 5 times 1 is going to leave us with negative 5 times m, because we don't know what m is, so we're going to leave m there. Minus 5 times 5 is 25. So we're left with negative 5m minus negative 25, because negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. We left that as a minus, and then we're going to go ahead and do our keep change flip. So minus 5m plus 25. All right, I want you to go ahead and I want you to pause this. And I want you to do 4 through, I should have said that before I told you pause. I want you to do 4 through 6. So now I want you to go ahead and pause this and work out 4 through 6. And then as soon as you're done, you're going to unpause it and we will go through them together. All right, by now you should have gone ahead, paused it, worked through them, and you're ready for us to go through them. If not, pause it, because we're going to go through them now. So I have 9 on the outside. You multiplied it by that first term, so you had 9 times 2 gave you 18. You brought down that subtraction, and then you multiplied that 9 times your second term in that parentheses, and 9 times a is going to give you 9a. You did the same thing in 5. You had 2 times that first term, so 2 times y. Because there's an assumed 1 there. 2 times 1 is 2. Keep the y. 2 times y, because we don't know what y is. And then you're going to go ahead and say 2 times that second term. So plus 2 times 3 gives us 6. And then we have negative 2. You had to write out that it was 1x plus 7. That's fine. So negative 2 times 1 is going to be negative 2 times x, because we don't know what x is. Plus 2 times 7 is going to give us a negative 14. Did you get those right? If not, do you see what you did wrong? Awesome. If you know what you did, that's awesome. If we fixed any problems, great. I'm gonna do a couple more, and then I'm gonna let you do a couple more again so that we can knock out any of those problems. But if you don't know what you did wrong on any of 4, 5, or 6, please write it down, circle it, bring it to our guided practice today, because that will be super helpful. All right, so let me go ahead and I am going to do 11, and I am going to do 10, and then I will have you do the other 4. And then we will go back through them. So 11 I wanted to do because if you see I have a negative outside of parentheses. If you see a negative outside of parentheses, that goes back into more of our invisible math. What that really says is that I'm going to distribute a negative 1, because I'm distributing a negative sign through everything, which is like saying everything in the parentheses times negative 1. So negative 1 times, again, assumed 1k minus 2. So now we can go ahead and distribute that 1 to everything in those parentheses, or all of our groups. So I have negative 1 times 1k gives me negative 1k, because 1 times 1 is 1. Positive and negative give me a negative. Bring down that minus, and negative 1 times 2 is going to give me negative 2. And then again, we have minus and negative, so I'm going to go ahead and keep change. Then I'm going to put that as negative 1k minus plus a positive 2. And then I have 10. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say negative 2 times 4k, because we're distributing the negative 2, is going to give us negative 8k. And then negative 2 times 5 is going to give us a negative 10. All right, so now I want you to go ahead and pause one more time, and any of those issues you were having before, we're going to hope that we've solved them. I want you to pause this and work through 7 through 12, and when you're done, unpause it, and we will go through them together, and you can check and see if you're still having the same issues. All right, so by now you should have already gone ahead and paused this. If you haven't, pause it now, because I'm going to go through these so that when you're done, you can go ahead and unpause it. So now we're going to distribute the negative 7 into the parentheses. So negative 7, we're going to times it times the first one, and we're going to multiply it by the second one. So 7 times the first term minus 7 times the second term. So negative 7 times 3 is going to give me negative 21. And then negative 7 times 5 is going to give me negative 35 times m, because we do not know what m is. And then I am going to go ahead and simplify one more time, do our keep change, because I have minus a negative. So I'm going to turn that into plus a positive. So negative 21 we kept, plus 35m. Did you get it right? If you got it wrong, do you see what you did? You still do not see circle star. We will work on it in class, in our guided practice today. All right, so on the outside I have negative 3. We're going to distribute it to the first term and then add it to it. We're also going to distribute it to the second term. So I have 3 times that 2n is going to give me 6n. Bring down our plus, and then we're going to distribute it to the second term. 3 times 8 is 24. We're going to do the same thing here. Oh, well, so did you get that right? I hope so. If not, you circle it, bring it today. All right, so then I have negative 12 times the first term and times the second term. So negative 12 times c, we know there's assumed 1 there, and negative 12 times 1 is negative 12. Negative 12 times c is negative 12c, plus negative 12 times 4 is negative, not 30, negative 48. Did you get that one right? If not, do you see what you did? All right, let's go ahead and do one more. So now I have 4 that we're going to distribute into the 1. And we're going to say distribute to the first one minus distribute to the second one. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 7 is 28. And 4 times p is 28p, because we still do not know what p is. All right, so now let's think back and use that to sum up. So our learning objective was that we know how to use the distributive property to simplify algebraic expressions. So imagine you want to bring enough candy to all the kids in your beta club, soccer team, and gymnastics squad. How would you figure out how many candies you would need to give 2 to every kid in all of the activities? Well, today we learned about distributive property. What that meant was we had to multiply everything in our parentheses by 2. Well, we have 1 group, 2 group, and 3 groups. You are in beta club, soccer team, and gymnastics. So 2 times beta club plus 2 times the soccer team, number of kids, and 2 plus 2 times gymnastics. So we know that if we multiply 2 times b, so 2 times beta club, and we add it times 2 times the soccer team, And then we added additionally 2 times the gymnastics. We are going to get our grand total of candy. And that was kind of our thinking process to begin with. So you were really using the distributive property before you realized you were using the distributive property. Because using the distributive property, we're going to multiply that factor of 2 by every single group because we wanted to give each kid in all 3 of those groups 2 pieces of candy. So we had to multiply each number of kids in the group by 2. And then if we knew how many kids in each of these, we could go ahead, plug that in, and have an actual number. But today we're talking about expressions, so we are going to leave those as variables. So I'm going to have you go ahead and transition now. This is where you are going to go ahead and self-evaluate. How do you feel about those couple of questions we did? Do you feel really comfortable about them? Because if you do, you can go ahead and get started on that Schoology work. Otherwise, if you're still feeling iffy, you still want to see some more problems, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, please come to our guided practice, especially if you did not understand why you got some of those wrong. Please bring those questions to our guided practice tomorrow and let me know. Otherwise, have a great day. Hope to see you in guided practice. If not, please get that Schoology work done. Make sure it is in the directions, but that Schoology worksheet says in the directions that you only do the right side. So if you look where it says only do the right side, you are only going to do the ones with numbers for the problem and not the ones where you have letters for the problem. All right, that's all I've got for you. Have a wonderful day.